Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. In today's video, we are doing a collective reading and energy update. I channel these collective readings every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you so much for tuning in to today's reading. And I have no idea where the reading is going to go today. So I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle the cards and get into the messages. So let's see what I can channel through for our collective here. Happy Wednesday. I hope you've been having a beautiful day and week so far. So I have all of my chakra stones out here, but I am not planning necessarily for this to need to be a chakra style read or anything like that, where we go from the root chakra systematically to the crown chakra. But I wanted to let you know that I do have these stones out just in case any particular cards connect with different chakra centers. I do feel that sometimes when this happens, it helps us to channel through more specific messages and pieces of information. Now, as I say in all of my reading videos, only take the messages that connect with you in a personal and intuitive way. Really, at the end of the day, it's your intuition that is your compass through life. And I always advocate for listening to your intuition above all else when it comes to everything in life. But of course, when it comes to these readings as well, especially since I do channel into a lot of different dynamics throughout the reading videos. So the first card I have here is the financial constraints card in the upright position. So I am picking up on someone who is feeling mentally trapped in some kind of way, like trapped in some kind of mental loop or pattern of some kind that's weighing them down. Now, this could be you, but this could also be some kind of external person or energy connected to you, or an environment connected to you, or something of that nature. But I'm going to see if I can pull an emotion card here just to figure out more about this energy. Self-esteem in the reverse position. So someone is feeling a low sense of self-confidence or self-worth here. It also seems to be affecting their ability to live in the moment or to stay present with themselves. Denial in the reverse position. So I feel as though there's someone here in denial about something. I'm hearing unable to accept something, continuing to unconsciously loop some kind of pattern. I feel that for so many of you, this is actually an energy that is external to you. And it's coming up in your reading because they are connected to you in some way. This could be someone from your past. It may be someone who is still knocking at your door energetically, trying to get in your life. For some reason, this is kind of calling me back to a reading that I just posted last night as one of my mini reading videos. So if this part of the message is connecting for you, that reading, I believe it was called "This Energy Always Shows Up Right Before a Breakthrough" or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact title, but if this is connecting as an external energy, then that reading may hold a message for you as well. So you may want to check that out after listening to this collective reading. But I feel like there's a person external to you who is feeling very low about themselves, caught in some kind of an unconscious mental loop. They seem to be, it's almost like there are things about themselves or their life that they are refusing to look at or in denial about. And I feel that you may have finally reached a point where with this energy where if they were not willing to accept these things about themselves or about their life that they were refusing to look at, then it's almost like you drew a line in the sand. You set some kind of boundary here, or chose to maybe step away or to disconnect and to kind of leave this person to their unconscious patterns to keep repeating those patterns until hopefully they wake up to them themselves and become conscious of these patterns. I feel if this is an external person, you may have tried to make them aware of these unconscious patterns. I feel like they were self-sabotaging in some way, maybe when it came to their connection with you, but maybe in a lot of different areas of their life as well, with growth and peace both in the reverse position. Yeah, I feel like this person is in a state of perpetual like drama or inner turmoil, and they may have kind of pulled you into some of that drama as well. For some reason, I'm seeing a ring, like a diamond ring. This could be an engagement ring or a wedding ring. It doesn't have to be. There could have been some kind of marriage involved here. But I feel that this person was sabotaging themselves and stunting their own growth. Or I said was, but they are still seemingly doing this because of things about themselves or their life that they're in denial about. But in the process of keeping themselves in this state of drama and chaos, it was disrupting your peace as a result of that. And so I feel you had to choose to disconnect from this energy because of how it was starting to affect you. Can I get any other information about this? Yeah, I'm just seeing you over here like resting at peace, centered within yourself. But the thing I'm getting about this person is that in itself would trigger them, just you being in this state of rest or of peace, just like being in a regulated, secure state. This could be someone who has like an anxious or avoidant attachment style. And when you healed your attachment style and became very secure, it's like they're bothered by the fact that they can no longer trigger you, that you are so secure, so peaceful, that you aren't drawn into any kind of drama or chaos. Like that in itself seems to be very triggering for this person because you are really prioritizing your own peace. Yeah, with anxiety reversed, storm warning reversed. It's like you are refusing to be pulled into this person's artificially created drama or chaos that from some perspective, they seem to be perpetuating to keep themselves distracted from what they actually need to be looking at within themselves. But I just get this energy of you being completely done with that dynamic and no longer being willing to engage with that person in that way. Now, for some of you, you may be communicating to them like on a higher level that if they want to join you in a higher place, if they want to connect with you from a higher level outside of the drama and the chaos in a more positive place, then for some of you, maybe you're available to that. But for others of you, you may have disconnected from this person completely. Again, it really depends on your circumstances. I'm not sure why this energy has been coming up so heavily in the readings, but I'm hearing you freed yourself from it. I feel for many of you, this is a person or situation that you've freed yourself mentally and emotionally from feeling responsible for. So I want to see if I can channel any more messages either about this situation or another thread of energy that wants to come up. For those of you who are new, I do tend to channel many different threads of energy through these readings. These can connect for you internally, so it could relate to something happening within you, an external person or situation, or even like an external pattern, an environment, something of that nature. It doesn't even always have to be a person. And of course, in other cases, some threads of energy may not connect with you at all. So what can I channel here? Oh, a card really wants to come out. Queen of Swords. Yeah, you are strong in your boundaries right now. I feel that you've always had this softness about you, but many people in your life are now really encountering your strength and your resiliency, your fire for the first time. Like they've never really seen it quite this way. And many people may be surprised by this because they knew you for your softness, but they underestimated your strength. But I'm getting with the King of Wands here in the upright position as well, that as you are in this fiery kind of energy, maybe someone has fire sign energy in their chart or you're connecting with someone who's a fire sign. But I'm getting that while you're in this energy, this is actually connecting you with a counterpart energy as well. So if you are a feminine, this is connecting you with a counterpart masculine, or vice versa if you are a masculine, because I see this Queen of Swords and this King of Wands are looking at each other. Now, when I speak about you connecting with a counterpart, of course, this could be a manifested physical person that you are connecting with romantically or otherwise. But this also could be a union of your internal masculine and feminine essence. Like you are both this softness and this strength. You are both showing up for, standing up for, and protecting yourself with this fire, but you're also creating with an open heart. So you have that perfectly balanced masculine and feminine essence within you. But for many of you, this is manifesting externally as well. Now, even if it is manifesting externally, keep in mind that if it is manifesting that way, you have undergone an intensive process of balancing your internal divine feminine and divine masculine to get to the point where you are capable of attracting in a counterpart situation like this. So I feel that if this message is for you, you've done a lot of inner work on yourself in order to become the healed version of you that you need to be, the whole complete version of you that you need to be in order to meet this love where it is, or this counterpart where it is. I feel that I'm hearing you've waited your whole life for this. I feel that for so many of you, it's almost like you've had to wait your whole life for this version of yourself. But of course, that waiting hasn't been passive. You've been actively healing, unraveling the layers, preparing yourself for this version of you that is now able to connect with the counterpart energy, either again in a more metaphoric sense, the uniting of your inner masculine and feminine, or in a manifested sense as well, where you are physically uniting or reuniting with a physical counterpart that is equally balanced within themselves. What I'm getting for some of you as well is that there may be the temptation to feel as though it's taken too long or that you are somehow too late. And the reason this is coming up is because if that is a thought occurring in your mind, you have to understand that this is not a spiritual truth. This is a form of outdated fear programming around time limitation. Because while you may be thinking from a conscious perspective that like, oh, this has taken months or years or maybe even decades for you to become this version of you, the reason it's taken so long is because you've literally been unraveling layer after layer of trauma and subconscious mind programming and ancestral programming, not just for yourself, but for your entire family's line, for whole, in some cases, communities, for whole collectives of people. You've been healing and unraveling so much within yourself that I feel had to be unraveled to bring you into this version of yourself. And I feel your guides saying, well, it sounds simplistic, but don't be so hard on yourself feeling like it's taken too long, because the things that you've unraveled within yourself, most people would never even touch one of those things in an entire lifetime, let alone in the time that you were able to accomplish those shifts. I feel you've done or you've shifted like 10 or 20 or maybe even more forms of dynamics or healed different points of trauma within yourself. And your guides are reminding you, most people would not have had the courage or the resilience or the persistence or the wherewithal to have examined and healed even one of those points, let alone all of the things that you've healed within yourself. I'm also hearing you've earned this version of you and it deserves being protected. So I feel that there's something about how this version of you that's emerging now whole and complete and in this more healed state of being deserves to be protected. And I'm hearing ring of fire. It's almost like you're creating this ring of fire around you in the form of your boundaries that is only allowing in what can truly connect with you on this level, a certain caliber of connections, friendships, opportunities, relationships, environments, whatever it is for you. I feel like many people are surprised because they're realizing subconsciously and maybe even consciously that the cost of connecting with you has gone up, metaphorically speaking, that they aren't just able to connect with you kind of like without putting in the work or burdening you unfairly with things that they are not actively willing to shift, heal, or look at within themselves. They're realizing that the cost of connecting with you now is being committed to their own growth and being accountable to their own unconscious patterns and programming within themselves. So let's get back to this counterpart that you are connecting with, especially for those of you who are specifically connecting with a physical romantic counterpart, whether it's someone you are meeting or connecting with for the first time or recently, or whether it's someone from your past that you're reconnecting with in their healed state. So I really want to know more about this counterpart energy, and a card just came flying out here, the Empress. Okay, so they connect with you when you are in your Empress energy. This represents you on your highest timeline, you showing up the most free, empowered, self-assured, abundant, lit up, bold, creative, connected, aligned version of yourself. I'm also hearing something about your organic energy, that this person connects with your authentic, organic energy. And what this means is that you will find with this counterpart soul that if you ever temporarily drop into lower frequencies, lower timelines, or shift back into past versions of yourself or past patterns, which, by the way, as I mentioned in a previous reading, it's not going to be so easy to do that anymore, because you've truly reached this beautiful point of no return on your spiritual journey where you quite literally can no longer go back. Yes, you can temporarily dip into lower vibrations or lower timelines very briefly, very temporarily, but you can't fully go back because you feel too much backlash in your being, emotionally, physically, mentally, when you're trying to move against the current of your own evolution, when you're trying to backtrack into smaller versions of yourself. So you quite literally have reached this kind of checkpoint spiritually where you can't go back into those old versions of yourself fully. But if you ever find yourself temporarily kind of playing in those realities, or there's a slight dip in your energy or your vibration, you may notice that with this counterpart, it does temporarily make you feel a little out of sync with this person, not fully disconnected from them or anything like that, because I don't feel a full, true disconnection from this counterpart would be possible. But more so, you might just feel like things are a bit off with them or a bit out of sync temporarily when you're in those lower vibrations. But again, it would be very temporary because overall, you've really ascended to a point spiritually that's like a checkpoint. I kind of compared it to a save point in a video game where once you save your progress, you're always going to skip back to that save point. You're not going to retract back further beyond that point. And that's how I feel about your spiritual journey at this point, that you've reached this point where you're no longer going to be sliding backwards past a certain point in your evolution. You're going to be perpetually pushed forward. You can no longer go back into those old versions of you. And that's actually a good thing. It's a beautiful thing because it means you are now firmly on this track of perpetual expansion and evolution. So what I'm picking up as well is that if you ever feel like you are trying to, what's the best way I can describe this? You are someone who has a very authentic energy. Let's start there. And that is what this counterpart has been drawn to you for. And as they've been drawn to you by your authentic energy, that is what they're attracted to, the most real, genuine, organic, purest soul expression of yourself. But we all, of course, are human as well. So if you have moments where you feel like you're slightly trying to put on a little bit of an appearance or shift or bend or contort yourself ever so slightly to please someone or to appear a certain way or to present a certain way, not to say you're being inauthentic, but if you get into kind of like a pushing energy that shifts you out of that pure energy ever so slightly, it's almost like this counterpart senses that. And I don't want to say it doesn't like fully repel them, but again, like we mentioned earlier, it will make you feel a little out of sync with this person. And then when you shift back into that full alignment with your own essence, you feel like you're back in your own energy fully and expressing that way authentically, this person will be fully like drawn back into your life again, and things will seem very smooth and your connection will feel back in sync. It's because this counterpart connection and how that connection manifests itself in the physical is directly related to what's happening between the two of you energetically, where energetically speaking, you are actually connected at the soul in a very authentic space within each of you. It's like you're very drawn to each other's most authentic selves, is what I'm picking up on here. But I also am getting that this is someone who is not threatened by your power, but is actually drawn to it. You may have had many partners or people or energies in the past who were drawn to your light, but threatened by it at the same time, where they would be drawn into you because they admired you. They may even become addicted to your light or to your energy, but they would often want to possess it for themselves because it's almost like they would become insecure about it. And they would begin to feel almost this lack mentality within themselves because they would see you shining so brightly and so many people either admiring you or feeling drawn to you or you having such an impact. And instead of feeling pure admiration and inspiration, they would, yes, feel drawn to you and admire you, but they would also feel a mix of jealousy and insecurity and a desire to almost like possess your light for themselves. And I feel those dynamics would become very entangling for you, whether it was family members, friendships, or romantic situations, even workplace situations for some of you. And I feel it took a lot of work for you to break free of these entanglements with all tied up in the reverse position. So now you're in this place where you're very cautious to enter any new entanglements. And that may be why you've often found yourself in periods of isolation recently, because you're very sensitively attuned to the feeling of when someone is feeling threatened by your light, which your light shines so brightly that it happens quite often because it illuminates so much within others. And so what I'm getting is that you have been very cautious and selective about who you allow into your inner circle, your sanctuary, your sacred space, who you let into your life consistently for the long term, because you have an awareness of how someone who's connected to you in that way will affect your energy over time. And you know that your mission is too important to allow yourself to be negatively impacted by entanglements that are projecting their own insecurity or their own feeling of being threatened by your light back onto you. So what I'm getting though with this partner, this counterpart energy, is it's so opposite of that. It doesn't desire to control or to possess you, but to enhance your shine because it purely admires your light and your energy without needing to control it or feeling entitled to accessing it. So with yin yang reversed in fourth chakra, the heart chakra in the reverse position, I am now picking up on another thread of energy, and I may circle back to this message about the counterpart energy coming in here. This is a very specific message for someone who has been on a twin flame journey. So of course, this will not be for everyone, but I'm speaking to someone who has been on a twin flame journey that has been very emotionally turbulent and painful at times, but also deeply spiritually activating. And I'm getting so many chills, even just as I'm starting to channel into this. So I know that there is some real powerful spiritual energy swirling around here. And hopefully I can channel through some helpful messages for whoever this is for. It feels that in this specific twin flame connection, the word confusion is coming through. There's been a lot of confusion because someone's heart has been very closed in the physical, and it's created an imbalance in this connection. So there's been a very strong push-pull dynamic, but I'm getting that the pushing and pulling in this instance has been that someone has been feeling the enormous heart and soul pull to their twin flame for a long time, and yet also feeling pushed or repelled away from them because they recognize that this person has their heart closed in the physical. And it's almost like the pushing and the pulling is happening within this one person on this twin flame journey, because they're feeling both this pull and this desire for this other person, for their incarnated twin flame, while simultaneously feeling so much immense love and I'm hearing in many cases a newfound deep respect for themselves in their own path, to the point of not being willing to betray themselves in order to maintain a physical connection with their twin flame while this person is out of balance, while they have their heart closed or are not showing up in a way that they deserve to be showed up for. It's like you finally realize your worth and what you deserve, and you love and honor and respect yourself too much to re-enter a cycle or a dynamic physically with this person, regardless of it being a twin flame, if they are not showing up for you in the physical in the ways that you now fully understand on all levels that you deserve. But this has created a sense of confusion, because again, there is still that pull towards them and a recognition that this has been a very sacred bond and still is, and that there is this energetic connectedness. And I feel that, yeah, with Happy Family reversed, for many of you, it may be this deep sense of spiritual interconnectedness, and yet a feeling as though trying to push this into a physical, conventional romantic relationship in the 3D would be some form of self-betrayal at this time, because of how this person's heart is still so closed off in the physical, or because of where they're at on their healing journey. And so I'm getting that, I'm feeling very strongly that whoever this is I'm speaking to here, there's something softening and opening in your heart space. I feel that you are more open to receiving love in the physical than you ever have been before. I feel that you went cold for a period of time physically, or you closed off physically. And essentially, it feels that for a period of time, you may have isolated yourself because of this situation, or blocked yourself off from the idea of receiving love in the physical, because you were very attached to it needing to happen through this physical twin flame relationship or situation that, again, wasn't showing up for you. I know we're getting so specific in this message. I don't know who this is for. Obviously, this will not be for everyone and just for a specific group here, but I really feel as though your mind is being opened at this time and your heart is being opened. And it's a very scary process because it all feels so new and unfamiliar. And there's almost a part of you wondering, like, am I allowed to want this? Am I allowed to open my heart to being loved in this way again when I had it closed off for so long? And while I still do feel this spiritual and energetic interconnectedness with my twin flame, who again isn't showing up in the physical, but there's still that underlying connectedness. And I feel that there's a reason right now that your heart is being opened and softened to some kind of new form of loving connection that you are being inspired to let yourself lean into. I feel like it's healing some part of you that thought that maybe you were destined forever to just be in this limbo state where you wouldn't be able to fully allow new love into your life because of your connectedness to this twin flame that wasn't showing up. But what I'm getting here is you're beginning to realize that you can balance both, that you can have an underlying spiritual and energetic bond with your twin flame that is still a meaningful part of your life and your spiritual journey, and is still in many ways supporting you even in the 5D, in the spiritual realm. And maybe your higher self and your twin flame's higher self are still working together towards some kind of spiritual mission or purpose on a higher level. But in the physical, because of how they haven't been showing up for you, you are opening yourself to new forms of love that you may have never believed were possible in the past. And I really feel as though the message is to trust your heart, to trust that if your heart is softening and opening and wanting to explore something, that there's a reason for that, that it's part of your healing journey and the journey of your soul's evolution. Because a major theme that's been coming through is this is the phase of your spiritual journey where you are no longer healing through isolation, but through connection. And I feel that for whoever I'm speaking to here, this love that you're allowing into your life is a way that you are healing parts of yourself through connectedness with another person who is showing you kindness, softness, generosity, openness, support in the physical. in a way that you wouldn't be able to heal purely through isolation. But I'm hearing these things are not mutually exclusive. It feels as though the mind here has been very confused because it's been trying to work itself around, how can I feel so energetically and soul connected to this other soul, to my twin flame, while at the same time allowing my heart to soften and open to a new romantic connection that is entering my life, that I feel is still very much unknown, but that I can sense is healing me on some level. And I feel that the answer here is that this isn't about forcing yourself to let go of one part of yourself or your journey or your path. It's about recognizing that if something is still in your life, it's there for a reason. So if you still feel an energetic connectedness to your twin flame on a soul level, that 5D bond is serving you in some kind of sense, but also simultaneously, if you're feeling a draw to open yourself romantically, to letting yourself lean into a new romantic experience or connection, that is teaching you something important as well, or it's healing some part of yourself. There's a reason it's in your life. And I'm hearing stop fighting with yourself. I feel almost like someone is in this internal war because they're in this very unique situation that so many people do not understand. Most people do not understand the concept of being a twin flame, being so energetically and soul connected to another soul, especially when this is someone that you are choosing to not necessarily have a traditional romantic relationship with, which of course is entirely up to you. In some cases, that may be something you desire. In other cases, it may not be. But I feel I'm speaking to a collective that may not be desiring that and are opening to a new form of love through a high-level romantic soulmate that seems to be this counterpart energy that's meeting you in your wholeness, but also fully showing up for you in the physical. And yeah, with the Empress connecting with you in your power. And I'm just hearing that it's safe to lean into this. It's safe to explore this and to let your heart guide you through all of this. To not feel as though you have to compromise either part of yourself, either your soul and your higher self, your 5D self that still is connecting with and possibly working with your twin flame on a higher level, but also your 3D physical human self that is meant to be loved and seen and supported and held in the physical realm as well, because that aspect, that human aspect, is so essential to supporting you on your spiritual journey also. To supporting you in whatever your mission or purpose is on this planet. You need that kind of physical love and reciprocity and support in your life, whether it's coming romantically or through other sources. And I feel you've really raised the bar on connection to be magnetizing in those forms of connection that really do show up for you in a reciprocated way. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this reading here, but we're going to be continuing in the extended version of this reading. So for those of you who are new, I do channel extended bonus readings for both Patreon and YouTube members, and I do those readings 3 times per week. So when you become a member, either on Patreon or YouTube memberships, you get access to 3 additional exclusive readings on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays every single week. So the link to today's extended reading, where we will be continuing this channeling, diving deeper into all of the messages that want to come through, that link will be in the pinned comment and description box below. Otherwise, I am sending you all huge amounts of love. Have an amazing day, and I will connect with you here again in the next video.